It's spring here in North Georgia. Those beautiful spring greens are just pulling me to them. And I'm going to use my favorite color, Rembrandt Viridian, to help create those greens. Let me show you how we'll go about doing that. A lot of people seem to pride themselves on mixing greens with blues and yellows and never having on their palette a color that's called green. I don't see any reason for being proud of that, because I know that this wonderful color, the Rembrandt Viridian, has the potential for giving such a wide range of greens when mixed with other colors. And so let me show you. But before I show you that, I do want to mention one thing. Rembrandt Viridian is totally different from other Viridians. The Rembrandt Viridian is dark, transparent, clear, whereas most Viridians are milky and light value or middle value. I don't have any use for those Viridians, but this Rembrandt Viridian is really a wonderful color. And you could also, for those of you who work with acrylics or other media, phthalo green does very much the same thing. Phthalo green's a much stronger color, so a little bit more difficult to work with. But a blue-green that's nice and dark and transparent and clean should work just as well in the other media. So let's take a look at the Rembrandt Viridian, and henceforth I'll probably just call it Viridian. Let's take a look. First of all, here's the color itself, the raw color straight out of the tube. Here it is in its darkest form. You see the difference there. If you are familiar with some of those other Viridians, some of the brands of Viridian, you see that there's a tremendous difference there. Now I want to show you, when mixed with white, it's not pretty. It's not a very useful color, just mixed with white. So if you just lighten Viridian, just by adding white, no wonder nobody would think to use it if you're accustomed to just changing color by mixing white. So here is Viridian mixed with white. Now you'd say that is not tempting at all. But for moving away from white, or maybe using white with other warm colors, we can do magic. Now let's just look at some potential. This is not everything that you can do with Viridian. This is just to get you going. Well, one of my favorite colors to use with Viridian is the Utrecht Hansel Yellow Light. So if I pull a little bit of the Utrecht Hansel Yellow Light into this mixture of Viridian and white, and pull just a little bit more white, maybe a good bit more white in it, I want to show you what we can get. We can get this nice, bright, clean, warm green. Now, of course, the more Hansel Yellow Light we can mix with that, we can do the variations, we can begin to get more of a nice, clean yellow green. So it can get, of course, as it goes with mixing yellow into colors, there's a point where it will be cooler and a point at which it will be warmer. And so there's one possibility. Another possibility, rinsing this color out of the brush and starting with a clean brush. Another possibility is another one of my favorite colors to work with, and that is the Rembrandt Cadmium Yellow Deep. Now there are other brands of Cadmium Yellow Deep, I know. It's just I happen to favor the Rembrandt. So let's start out with just Rembrandt Cadmium Yellow Deep in the brush by itself, and we'll pull it down, and I'm going to add just a little bit of Viridian, into the Rembrandt Cadmium Yellow Deep. I'm going to start with adding just a touch, and we'll find another green. Now see, that almost gives us kind of an olivey green. Well, we could see this as the in the springtime, just as our greens, just before our greens turn into that spring green. But then we add a little bit more, just a little bit more of the Viridian to that, and we get this nice, that nice deep olivey green that we often see in the shadows. And we add just a little bit more of the Rembrandt Viridian to the Cadmium Yellow Light, then we see it get a richer, greener green, more like we see in the moderate shadows or the transparent shadows of the foliage in the early spring. Now if we add white to that, just add a little bit of white just to that mixture, you see here now we can begin to get something of that feeling of the olivey green as it moves between shadow and not in shadow. Now we could add now Hansa yellow light with that, so now we've got the two yellows working together. So if we add Hansa yellow light to that here, and we have this gets even brighter. So we can explore in various combinations, and we could add a little white to that. We'll keep going, but we can explore in various combinations these greens, and we can find all kinds of variations that can give us those spring greens. So I would invite you to explore that. Now there's another thing that Viridian will do. Viridian will do lots of things, but I just want to point these out to you, and that is when you add the purple with Viridian. Let me just do that here. I'm going to bring a little bit of Viridian down. I'm going to add just a touch of quinacridone violet into Viridian. And this magical thing happens. The same thing happens with phthalo blue. This magical thing happens of, let's see, we'll put that down here, and you probably won't be able to read it until I add a little white to it. But let me show you first of all just how deep and dark. Right like that, and a little bit more Viridian. Now I'm going to put a little bit of white in that and show you what we get. You get this wonderful blue-gray. And we will often see this in the springtime when there are, in the springtime when foliage hasn't quite fully come out yet. A lot of times we'll see these variations of blue grays or cool grays and warm grays fluctuating through the woods, and so see, there's a good opportunity to do that. Now if you take that and you lean it just a little bit of the yellow to it, you will warm that gray up, and here you have this nice warm gray. Now you'll also see in the springtime, whether you realize it or not, you start looking for it, you may see lots of warm grays. So you see you have the opportunity to take the Viridian to a cool blue, where it loses identity as green altogether and becomes this really nice deep blue, and then you can take it to a cool blue or a warm blue. Now there's one other thing that Viridian can do, and that is it can become what we know to be sap green when you take the either quinacridone burnt orange, which is one orange that's a low intensity orange, but it's a nice transparent color. Quinacridone burnt orange. You could also use burnt sienna for this, or you could use the Rembrandt's transparent oxide red. There are a number of those transparent, warm, dark, warm, low intensity colors that you can use for what I'm about to do here. But you could add just a little, add Viridian in various mixtures to various proportions to either one of those, and you can come up with what we know to be a sap green. Now let's see if we can get this here, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. That feeling of sap green. And here it is in the dark. Add just a little bit more of that. There we go. There it is in the dark. And then if you add the Hansa yellow to that, and I'll give you just a little bit. There's the middle value, Hansa yellow to that. That's that sap green, and that can vary with about one part of transparent oxide red, for example, to about 3 parts Viridian. You get a nice spring sap green, and then adding more transparent oxide red, you can carry it on through the deep summer into the just prior to fall, that deep kind of mellow dark green. So I want to take that just one step further, pull it into just a little bit higher value just to show you what it will do here. And like here, there it goes right there. So you see, already we have so many, I've shown you so many variations that you can get with Rembrandt Viridian. I have many other ways to show you to use Rembrandt Viridian in our instructional videos. We have full-length instructional videos that I tell you about all the time when we do these quick tips. If you go to our website at diannemize.com, you'll find well over 100 each full-hour instructional videos for you to purchase and download at a very affordable price. So take a look at that. You might find something that will be helpful. And there's your quick tip.